I hope that you are having a good week so far, and today is Tuesday. And with it being Tuesday, we're going to be looking at a psalm. The next psalm we're going to be looking at today is Psalm 110. Psalm 110. It is another psalm of David, and we end up finding out, and especially when we get to the New Testament, when it is revealed clearly, that this psalm, Psalm 110, is in fact a messianic psalm. A psalm that was foretelling and declaring the coming Messiah. And two things we see here. We see that the Messiah would be king and that the Messiah would be priest forever. And we see this in this psalm. Let's look at this together. It's not a long psalm, but read along with me or listen along. As it says, beginning in verse 1, "The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand, till I make your enemies your footstool. The Lord will send the rod of your strength out of Zion, rule in the midst of your enemies." And this the Lord said to my Lord. This is David saying that the Lord, Yahweh, said to my Lord, to the Messiah, to the Christ, "Sit at my right hand till I make your enemies your footstool." The Lord would send the rod of your strength out of Zion, rule in the midst of your enemies. The Messiah would rule as king at the right hand of Yahweh, the right hand of God Almighty on his throne. He goes on to say, "Your people will be volunteers in the day of your power, and the beauties of holiness from the womb of the morning. You have the dew of your youth. The Lord has sworn and will not relent. You are a priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek." So here, verse 4. Verse 3, talking about the people of the Messiah and how the Messiah would have power and the people would serve in the glory and the power and the might of the Messiah. But then verse 4, "The Lord has sworn and will not relent. You are a priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek." This declaring that the Messiah would be priest forever, not just a priest, but we know that Jesus would become the high priest. The Hebrews writer talks a lot about this in the New Testament. Hebrews chapter 1 even mentions Jesus as king, sitting at the right hand of the throne of God. The Hebrews writer goes on in the book of Hebrews to talk much about Jesus being the high priest, being priest according to God's promise, according to the likeness of Melchizedek. He goes on to say, "The Lord is at your right hand. He will execute kings in the day of his wrath. He will judge among the nations. He will fill the places with dead bodies. He will execute the heads of many countries. He will drink of the brook by the wayside. Therefore he will lift up the head." God is judge. God reigns over all. The Lord our God reigns. And the Messiah reigns now. This foretelling of the Messiah's reign, of God's judgment that was coming, of God's reign, God's kingdom, the kingdom of the Messiah that would be coming one day. And again, this all revealed that Jesus fulfilled all of this. Jesus fulfilled the prophecies of this psalm. Jesus is the Christ, the Messiah, the anointed of God, the Son of God, who is king, but who is also high priest. Our king, our high priest. And Jesus is at the right hand of God, reigning on high today. And thanks be to God for that. And let's see the beauty of God's plan, God's working, that God prophesied of Jesus, of the Messiah, so long ago, back in the days of David. And it all came to pass when Jesus came to earth, lived, died, and rose from the dead. And he is still reigning in heaven today. Thanks be to God for that. God bless.